to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Friday, May 10th. India's foreign minister meets Chinese premier amidst the country's border conflict. How potentially dangerous Chinese food is imported into the US. And Africa is rethinking its trade ties with China. It's been almost a month since Indian authorities accused Chinese troops of crossing into their territory. It was resolved this Monday before India's foreign minister paid a two-day visit to China yesterday.
India's external affairs minister has met with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang today during a two-day visit to China. Salman Khurshid arrived in Beijing on Thursday. His trip follows recent conflicts over the Indo-China border. This region is ill-defined and has created conflict between the two neighbors. India accused Chinese soldiers of coming 12 miles past the line of actual control on April 15th, the worst incursion in years. The standoff ended this Monday when both countries agreed to withdraw their troops. It's unclear why Chinese troops crossed so far into what India claims is its territory. And when Khurshid met with his Chinese counterpart on Thursday, he didn't ask for clarification. This drew criticism from Indian politicians and lawmakers. They say it makes India look weak and wondered why Khurshid was in China, if not to talk about bilateral issues. In an interview with Chinese state-run CCTV on Thursday, Khurshid urged both sides to prevent future flare-ups.
We need to do our own respective analysis as to why it happened. And then, if such a thing is to happen again, which I hope is unlikely, we should be able to resolve it much quicker than we did this time.
Khurshid's visit comes ahead of a scheduled trip by Li Keqiang to India later this month. It will be Li's first foreign visit as China's premier.
As Chinese products continue to inundate US markets, concern over safety standards is on the rise. But should we be more worried? That's what a US Congressional subcommittee discussed yesterday about consumables imported from China.
Food safety in China has long been a concern. On Thursday, a U.S. Congressional subcommittee looked into the threat of consumables imported from China. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher opened the hearing with some shocking statistics.
Astonishingly, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration inspects less than 2% of the food imports from China.
And this lack of oversight has resulted in product recalls.
From tires to toothpaste to toys, Chinese imports account for more than 50% of the recalls announced by the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
In the case of organic food, a watchdog found in 2009 that almost half of all organic soybeans to the U.S. come from China and other countries. In China, they're graded into A beans and B beans. And in most cases, brokers can only vouch for the A bean.
And the B beans? Well, the brokers had a piece of paper, a certification document that says they're organic. And they're cheaper. Most commonly, we found that the ones that got purchased were the B beans.
Because of China's poor environmental standards, Chinese produce is often cheaper, thus undercutting U.S. farmers.
Organics continue to grow even in this tight economy. But for the first time, we are seeing a net loss in the number of organic farmers in the Midwest and Rocky Mountain states, and we're losing thousands of acres of farmland. We can't compete with the Chinese without a level playing field in terms of aggressive certification and enforcement of organic law.
At the hearing, many expressed concern over the fact that Chinese people themselves don't trust their own food supply.
One of the things we've known for a long time is that the Chinese cadres had their own farms. They don't trust the food and so forth and so on. That's number one. Number two, the farmers themselves don't trust their own food. They won't eat what they produce, so they ship it to another province.
Committee members noted the bipartisan support for investigating this issue and plan to hold another meeting later this year.
The Chinese regime has been investing heavily in Africa, a continent with plenty of the natural resources China needs to push ahead with its economy. But that trade relationship isn't quite balanced, and it's prompted some in Africa to reconsider those ties.
Over the past decade, Africa's economy has become a force to contend with. Rich with natural resources, it's fast becoming an attractive investment opportunity as developed countries continue to battle economic headwinds. China recognised its potential long before many others. But now, Africa is scrutinising their trading partnership. Many business leaders are no longer prepared to simply swap African oil, coal and iron ore for Chinese manufactured imports. They say China's sapping their own manufacturing sector and would like to see shared skills and technology as well. Tendai Biti is Zimbabwe's finance minister.
The reality as well is that they're not comrades. Their companies are there to make profits like everyone else. And therefore it's important for African leaders and it's important for everyone to have your best lawyers, your best accountants, your best advisors when you negotiate with them.
Africa's textiles business in particular is under huge stress. Diana Layfield, Chief Executive of Standard Chartered Bank in Africa, says Africa needs to make its natural resources go further.
Many African markets need to think more about value-added activity within their own countries. So in Nigeria, there's a fantastic example. So the Nigerians are one of the largest exporters of tomatoes in the world. They export the tomatoes to Italy, and they're one of the largest importers of tomato paste from Italy. There is no conceivable reason why Nigeria can't do all of that value-added activity in Nigeria.
A recent visit by China's president to meet his South African counterpart shows relations are strong, and some analysts say that China has a moral duty to help Africa. The question now is whether China feels secure enough to share its expertise with what could become its future competitors.
A granddaughter of Mao Zedong was recently placed on a list of the wealthiest Chinese, sparking criticism online. Dongmei and her husband Chen Guangcheng ranked 242nd on the list released this week by Chinese financial magazine New Fortune. Their combined wealth was estimated at about 5 billion yuan, or $815 million. Kong is the granddaughter of Mao's third wife, He Zhizhen. She owns several businesses, including a bookstore in Beijing that promotes new red culture, a modernized version of Maoist ideas. Her husband runs an insurance company, an auction house, and a courier service. According to New Fortune, the couple has 2 daughters and 1 son, causing many to believe they have violated China's one-child policy. Government advisor Lu Chongming from Southwest China wrote online, quote, "The offspring of Chairman Mao, who led us to eradicate private ownership, married a capitalist and violated the family planning policy to give birth to 3 illegal children." And coming up after the break, Chinese authorities say how bad the soil is polluted is a state secret. The cousin of this dead migrant worker says it's impossible she killed herself, and a cultural exchange like no other for these audience members in Mexico. And welcome back. China's shadow banking totaled almost 36 trillion yuan, or $5.8 trillion at the end of 2012. That's 69% of the country's GDP, according to a report by JP Morgan released earlier this month. Zhu Haibing, chief China economist at JP Morgan Chase & Co., co-authored the research report. It says the amount doubled between 2010 to 2012. Even though China's shadow banking is still relatively small compared to that of other countries, the researchers say that from the perspective of financial stability, the rapid growth of shadow banking, rather than its size, could lead to problems in the system. JP Morgan noted that shadow banking in China is at best vaguely defined, with trust companies and wealth management products making up the majority of the industry. These emerged to get around limitations on interest rates for deposits from state-run banks. On Thursday, China's central bank urged the market to, quote, fend off the systematic risks of wealth management products as concerns over China's lending market continue to build. Earlier this year, a Beijing lawyer applied to China's environmental authorities to find out the results of a study of the country's soil to see how badly it's been polluted. At that time, authorities said he couldn't see the report because it was state secrets. After applying for that decision to be reviewed, the ministry again said this week it's not going to release the results.
Soil. It's what we rely on to grow most of what we eat. But in China, the quality of the soil in the country is deemed a state secret. On Thursday, the Ministry of Environmental Protection reaffirmed a decision in February that the results of a 4-year soil quality study will not be released because it was a state secret. According to state-run Xinhua news agency, the ministry has said it will release the findings after further evaluation, but hasn't given any timetable. Critics say information that can impact the public's well-being should be made publicly available.
Soil problems are closely connected with Chinese people, including high-ranking officials. Everyone in China has the right to know how badly the environment has deteriorated.
In 2011, the Vice-Chancellor of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, Li Keqiang, said that heavy metals have contaminated 50 million acres of China's arable land. That's 1/6 of the country's total arable land. China's Ministry of Land and Resources estimated in January that heavy metal pollution results in the loss of 10 million tons of grain each year. Another 12 million tons are contaminated.
The Ministry of Environmental Protection refusing to disclose information to the public is groundless from a legal perspective. To a certain extent, it has not fulfilled its obligation. It has caused disturbance and acted as an umbrella for people who damage the environment.
The 4-year soil quality study by the Ministry of Environmental Protection was completed in 2010 and cost 1 billion yuan. In January, Beijing lawyer Dongmei asked to see the findings of that study, but his request was rejected the next month. Dong then asked for administrative reconsideration and recently received the confirmation again that, in China, the quality of the soil is state secrets.
The brother of blind Chinese activist Chen Guangcheng was beaten up in eastern Shandong province on Thursday. Chen Guangfu says he believes the two men were thugs hired by authorities to continue the harassment against his family. In a telephone interview with NTD, Chen Guangfu described the attack yesterday morning.
Around 2 a.m., I was traveling on a scooter along State Route 205. Then a black sedan overtook me and stopped in front of me. I had to get out of the car. Then 2 young men came down from the car and started beating me. They didn't say anything.
Chen Guangfu's family has been targeted by Chinese authorities ever since his brother testified before the U.S. Congress last month. They've had stones, dead chickens, and beer bottles thrown into their yard. Now, with Chen Guangcheng planning a trip to Taiwan, Chen Guangfu believes the Chinese regime is targeting his family to stop his brother's trip. Chen Guangfu says his family now fears for their life. They plan to petition in Beijing if Chen Guangcheng does end up making that trip to Taiwan. A young woman's death sparked a mass protest in Beijing this week because many believe she may have been the victim of gang rape. Now, Beijing police have arrested a woman for spreading those rumors online and claims the victim's family accepts that she has committed suicide.
Beijing police say a migrant worker from Anhui province killed herself, claiming the young woman's family has also accepted that conclusion. 22-year-old Yuan Liya was found dead outside a mall on May 3rd. Police say she went to the mall the night before by herself and then jumped out of the building to kill herself. But according to Yuan's cousin, the young woman had plenty to live for and wouldn't have ended her own life.
It's impossible that she killed herself. Her father is seriously ill, and she cares for him a lot. The whole family relied on her to earn money to pay for her dad's treatment. What would happen to her dad if she wasn't around? She would not take her life like this.
After Yuan's death, claims surfaced online that she was seen with the mall security guards the night before and that she was gang raped and killed by them. On Thursday, Beijing police arrested a woman accusing her of spreading these rumors online. Yuan's fiancée and her mother had asked to see the surveillance tape from the mall after her death, but police refused. On Thursday, Beijing police claimed the family was shown evidence and accepted the official version of events, according to state-run China Daily. Yuan's suspicious death sparked an angry protest on Wednesday. Authorities sent in thousands of police and paramilitary officers to the area located around 4 miles south of Tiananmen Square.
Worlds apart, but the people of Mexico had the chance to experience the culture of Chinese people. This week, Shen Yun Performing Arts had their very first performance in Mexico City. Next, see what audience members there had to say.
Shen Yun Performing Arts held its first performance in Mexico on May 6th. The show premiered in Mexico City's Auditorio Nacional.
I was very impressed. I'm excited. I felt it has a very high level in an artistic sense. The costumes are gorgeous, as if they were made by the top designers of Milan. The messages of this is that China is becoming very developed, but without consciousness, is losing the spirituality and soul. Those parts are important. What is the use of being so gigantic if you are losing the essence? I think it's fantastic. Their discipline is incredible, and they can do that with their body. I really feel untalented and clumsy after seeing them, because it's amazing what they manage to do. Really, I thoroughly recommend it. I think apart from the art, you can know more about Chinese philosophy and history. It's wonderful.
Shen Yun is reviving 5,000 years of ancient Chinese culture through the universal language of music and dance.
The dancers are extraordinary, very extraordinary dancers. They have the whole school and also all the Chinese tradition. I think it was a great show. I've enjoyed it tremendously, and, well, I think this is the feeling we have in this journey. Of course I recommend it. I love Asian culture and art, and specifically the Chinese. I love Chinese music.
Shen Yun only has 2 stops left on its 2013 World Tour: Chicago, Illinois, May 10th to the 12th, and Syracuse, New York on May 12th. Catch it while you can. NTD News, Mexico.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next is this week's episode of Discovering China. Stay tuned.